Hello and welcome to When We Grow Up, the podcast where we ask where we've been to know where we're going. We're your hosts. I'm Marlee Silva. You're Nicho Hynes.
I am.
Yeah, and we're just a couple of friends who are really passionate about telling stories that inspire us, sometimes make us laugh, and get really reflective. Nico, how do you feel?
I feel great. You're nervous. You are so nervous, and it's actually making me laugh.
It is like so out of character
And
for me too.
I've missed the hello. This is Marlee Silva, monotone voice from Marlee Silva. That I've missed it, Marlee, and it's good to be back here sitting on a podcast with you.
This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Gadigal people, one of the 29 clan groups that make up the Eora Nation. We acknowledge the traditional owners who are connected to this land and acknowledge their unbroken connection and sovereignty to all the lands that now make up Australia. We extend that acknowledgement to all of the traditional owners connected to the country you may be listening to this podcast from. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Before we get into today's episode, we do want to warn listeners there is some content that could be triggering for some people. If there's anything that's brought up today that affects you, know there is someone out there to listen. Make sure you call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Maybe let's start there today, us talking about who we are, how we know each other, and I guess you know those memes where people go, oh, when the holiday made it out of the group chat? This is like the podcast idea made it out of the chat. This is something we've been talking about for a little while and we're actually making it happen. So where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about how we know each other, or yeah, that's probably a good way to...
I want to talk about how we met.
Okay, go on then.
So when I was playing for the Melbourne Storm, and we met in 2021.
Yes.
21. Marlee's a really good friend of a girl who, associated with the Melbourne Storm, Georgia Moore, formerly done a Chicks and Balls podcast, but got the boot because they weren't good enough. Anyway, and then Georgia and her sister Marlee Silva come down to...
My sister, not Georgia's sister.
Yeah, your sister.
You said Georgia and her sister.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Let me talk. Anyway, so yeah, you guys come down and you're at Harry's and Cooper's house, I'm pretty sure. And I walked into just a moment where I was just like, who is this girl? Yeah. She is blowing up at one of my mates, old Dazza. Oh, yes, you were. And
I'll let you finish, but I have rebuttals.
No, and apparently Dazza was saying, what was he saying? Just some comments about, I don't know, what was he saying? Something about females.
Well, this is just a lie. This whole story's a lie.
Marlee was just blowing up at him and talking about all this nerd shit, and I was just like, far out, who is this nerd? Get away. Like, I was like, I'm all for Keely. Keely's a fun. She's cool. She seemed like a ledge, and I was like, right, Keely, you're my sort of person. And I sort of barred Marlee from there, and turns out I was signing with Cronulla. The girls are from Cronulla. And I was like, righto, well, I'll be partying with Keely. And I don't know what the nerd will be up to, but she won't be hanging out with me. But here we are. And we'll probably get on to a bit further of how we got to sitting here right now. But what was your first interaction of our story?
Yeah. Well, let me just say that that's become the folklore that I was having a go at our mate Daz. Let me just say that was not true. Also, you weren't there when that happened.
I rocked up.
You were not there. Anyway, look, let me just say I wasn't having a go, but I'm fine knowing that was your first impression of me. I do remember a few months into our friendship, you did say, I thought you were not cool, Marlee, and you've proven me wrong. So I
say that? Would I say that?
Maybe not. You definitely weren't saying I was cool, but I think you were saying that I knew how to party, which is true.
So you're saying that my now interpretation of you is cool because you know how to party. I'm not like you. I don't just think people are cool because they can party. I like the conversations, the authenticity in the person. I know where your head's at. This whole point of this podcast is to be authentic and get cool stories, and you're thinking about partying already. Anyway, keep going.
My first impression of you, Nicho Hynes,
good looking, great
was
dude.
That you're a bit arrogant.
Piss off. You're lying. You're lying.
No, I remember. So actually...
Here we go.
We've only figured this out again in getting to know each other, that the first time I met you was actually up on the sunny coast. I think back in 2019. And like, full disclosure, I was not sober. So it's very, very blurry for me. But I was up there for a mutual friend of ours' little sister's 21st, and I was in no state to go out, and my friend dragged me out to go to a club in the Sunny Coast.
Ocean Street, Old Ocean Street.
And
I was living on the Sunny Coast then too, actually.
And she was kept saying to me, oh, there's this guy, his name's Nico. Yeah, you've got to meet him. He's Aboriginal. You guys will really get along. You'll really get along. And I was like, what kind of name is Nico? Like, what a name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do remember I just remembered this like tall dude with long hair kind of talking to us for a moment. Then I tapped out, like I had to go home. But that was the first time.
So you're not going to tell the truth about you like tapping me on the shoulder saying, Nico, Nico, Nico.
That's not true.
What are you doing later, Nico, Nico, Nico?
If this is what this show's going to be, isn't it? Just like lots of you trying to spread lies about me. Anyway, but proper meeting down in Melbourne. You were not there the night that happened with Daz, even though nothing happened, like in terms of me going off at him. But you came around to Cooper, Harry and George's place. And I remember thinking you had shorts and a t-shirt on and a beanie with it. And I was like, that's just impractical. Like, why would you have a beanie when you've got like short, like if you're trying to keep warm? It made no sense. I remember thinking that straight away. And then within about 20 minutes of me sitting down.
So you're trying to give beauty tips out.
No,
have you seen what you wear?
Oh my goodness. Anyway. Within about 20 minutes of you getting there and sitting down, you called me a virgin. And
no, I didn't.
You and Harry were trying to get me to blow up by saying like purposefully misogynistic stuff. And Harry was not being subtle at all. He had his phone out, like putting it up, being like, "Oh, Marley, we don't think women can do this."
I think I come over and we just laid on the lounge.
Yeah. But at the time I was like, oh, okay. Did not think we were going to be friends. Not in like a I didn't like you kind of way, but I was like, I just don't think we're going to be friends. And then next thing you know, you're living in God's country, and fast forward, and like in all seriousness, like we'll sit here and take the piss out of each other a lot, and you'll come to see that, I think, throughout this podcast. But we do have a lot in common in terms of, I guess, our passions and values and what we want to do. I think probably where we could have started, and maybe that was just, again, like you said, some of the nerves at the beginning of knowing that these microphones are on, is explaining, I guess, what we do. Obviously, I think most people will know that you are a professional athlete, and you're obviously
Try to be.
And you've had a big sort of 18 months.
Now I'm a part-time footy player, professional podcaster.
Yeah.
Look at this room we're in.
Yeah, put it on the resume. But for myself, I guess I've been in and around podcasting for a little while now, and first and foremost kind of see myself as someone who's passionate about stories. And so through both of us in, very different ways, and yours much, much bigger than mine, but I guess we understand that we have a kind of platform where we can spotlight the things that matter to us. We're going to have guests on this show to share their own inspiring and impactful stories. And I guess hopefully, just get people thinking about different things, and in between that, have a bit of fun with it. But why do you think that we've come to this kind of point and are starting to do sort of creative project stuff together?
Yeah, well, it's been a bit of a funny, cool, emotional journey for us, like starting off where we started, where we took the piss and we're like, oh, who is this person? And then coming to Cronulla, and I found a family in the Silva family with yourself and Keely and your parents. Took me under, me and Wee Man actually. Wee Man's my roommate. I'll talk a bit about him later, but just showed us around, and had a little family in Cronulla to go family dinners and hang out and show us around, and then we've spent COVID Christmas together. So we were locked in my little apartment with Wee Man, Marlee and I with COVID. Couldn't go out and do anything. Went to Bali together for New Year's. So we've been around, we've done a lot, and just in those times of getting to know each other, I think we've just come to realisation that we're, like you said, we're very similar, very heart-led, authentic. We both have stories that want to inspire the next generation of people, and through our stories and through our life, we've experienced a lot of things, and we want to just tell people about that and tell people about our experiences, and then also bring people on who have had similar experiences or completely different experiences to get to where they are, and to the successful people they are now. And we just want to take people on the journey and just sort of change the world one step at a time and make the world a better place, I guess. And we're both very similar in wanting to do that, and it's pretty cool. I've never really met someone. This is the one and only time I'll give you a rap on this podcast too. But I've never met someone who has such similar attributes in values and morals and really caring about the next generation and helping and wanting people to succeed as bad as we do. So, and then once we've connected in that way, we've got plenty of things going on this year, which we might touch on later. I don't know if we want to touch on now with other opportunities we've got, and the podcast was one. And as soon as we sort of spoke about it and you gave your sister the flick in Georgia, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And let's try to change the world and make this a happier place and tell cool stories along the way. So, it's pretty cool that we're sitting here now in a studio. The last time I did a podcast with you was in your living room, the shoebox size. And we done a muck around one in my living room. So it's just cool to be here and grateful for the guys giving us this opportunity to be here. So
I think for me,
let's tell some cool stories.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another part of this that again speaks to sort of being motivated by what we've found in each other. Like you said, we are this family now, and I'm always looking for community to be a part of, and in having a podcast you build a community of people that you feel like are your friends as well, even if they're just people who end up sharing an episode or listening to it or sending comments back and the like. That's something I've always loved about this format, and I think that that's what I guess we hope to build with this as well, is people who similarly just want to do something positive. The world can be a pretty rubbish place, and to look for the light in it through stories of overcoming obstacles and, celebrating like the fun stuff as well, I think is what we hope to do here. So on a practical level, what you can expect from this show is 2 different kinds of episodes. So 1 week you'll have Nico and I sitting here probably absolutely roasting each other, or just sharing stories from our day-to-day life, bringing different topics to the table that we want to talk about. I think another really important part of our relationship, which you will come to know, is that we like to argue quite a bit. And I imagine there'll be things we can...
Speaking of relationships, a lot of people ask us...
can I say we should have started with that?
With this. Are you and Marlee together? Are you guys dating? No, we're not dating. We're not together. I know if you watch this podcast and you see the way that she looks at me, yes, you probably think that we're dating, but... we are not. She is family.
That's it. I'm quitting the show.
We are very, very, very great friends, best friends. Well, family. Well, just my sister. So, no. Although, yes, she does look at me in that way. Just relax, guys. I'm very single. I've realised over the year and a half I've known Marlee now, she is a serial club pasher. And my goal is to get her a boyfriend. She's never had a boyfriend. So maybe we can set up a live date on this couch one day. Who knows? We can do something for Marlee. And if you ever see her out, feel free to go up and ask for a club bash, because she gives them out for free sometimes.
Yeah.
True?
Look, a bit of pot kettle black happening there with club pashing. But yes, you completely thrown me by doing that straight away, can I say? I knew it was going to come at some point, but couple of minutes in, straight away. Anyway, but that's the kind of stuff that you can expect on.
Plus, we'll be getting some cool guests on.
That's the other.
That's the other side.
Is what I'm trying to see. I'm trying to be professional here. This is what this is going to be. It's going to be like wrangling cats.
Yeah.
You're going to just try and derail everything, and it's a challenge for me, but that's okay. So we'll have these fun conversations 1 week, and then the following week will be an inspiring chat with a guest. And I reckon we've got some cool people lined up ready to go, and a few that are in mind that we'd love to have on this show down the track, but we absolutely want to be led by the people who listen to the show as well. So definitely want to keep open suggestions and
hit us up, slide in our DMs if you've got someone cool you reckon we can have a yarn to, and people will be inspired by it. Hit us up, let us know.
But today, for the rest of this chat, we're going to treat it as in the way that we will with all of our guests, which is we're going to get each other to reflect back on our younger selves, who we were then, who we are now, and who we hope to be in the future. So let's get into
well said.
Yeah,
Nice.
let's get into
That was 10 out of 10 delivery for the first time.
Let's get into that chat.
Okay.
All right. So what we thought would be the best way to reflect. Well, actually, Nico, why don't you talk about the saying that you always go to, which is, what would your 5-year-old self think? Like, why do you bring that up and in what context?
So you just said, why don't you go tell the saying, and then you just say my saying. Anyway, so when I reflect on the journey I've been on, and when I was living in Mackay and had depression and wanted to give up, stop playing footy and just go back to my hometown and live in my hometown. My mum and my brother fights with me over it, but I thought my mum rang me up and said, Nico, you can't give up. What would your 5-year-old self think of you right now? And then I said it in an interview once, and my brother's like, I said that, And I was like, no, I swear my mum said that. Anyway, and it's just stuck with me forever ever since then. Like, we grow up and you often forget about, younger self and what they would think of you. And I don't know how to explain it perfectly, but I think about when you're in movies or just Disney Channel and someone's thinking, and then it's just like a little bubble that pops up.
It's like a flashback.
Yeah. And then like when I'm thinking of it, I'm just like sitting there and I see my little photo or 5-year-old Nico in footy gear, and then I just think, wow, yeah, is he smiling or is he upset right now? Is he sad and crying? And I just always think like, what would 5-year-old Nico be thinking of me right now? And then like, well, now when I'm thinking about what I've done in the game and who I am now, like he would be sitting there smiling and so proud and happy. So that's what sort of advice I like to give when people ask me for advice. You always have the work hard and be the hardest work in the room, but I always try to think of something different and give that one. Now, since that's been passed to me, I pass it down to, what would your 5-year-old self think of you? Don't let that little kid down. So that's what sort of inspired maybe this podcast, the heading and the photos. Like we've spoke about guests coming on, or we try and get photos of the guests, or if we can't get them, the guests bring the photos of them when they were younger, and maybe 3 or however many. We've got about 6 each today, but just explain what you were doing in that moment, and would that kid be proud of you right now, or what would have you done different, or anything along those lines. So that's what's inspired us for these photos today. So
do you want to show the first photo then?
Of me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Describe what we're seeing.
I will. So I don't know if you can see it. Camera. But we'll chuck it up on our Instagram. It's a photo of me when I looks about 2, and I am in footy shorts. I'm in an Australia shirt, and I'm dipping into a bucket which would have chicken food or rooster, whatever it was, because I lived on a farm when I was 2. So mum and my dad split up and we moved to Maitland and lived on a farm. Not many people would probably know that about me, actually. And so me and my brother, my mum's partner at the time, moved on the farm. And it's weird because I'm shit scared of snakes, and there was that many snakes on the bloody farm. But yeah, whether I lived on the farm or not, I was always in footy gear, and that's me there, smiling, happy, still in my footy shorts. Yeah, and so...
Why did you pick that?
Why did I pick that? Well, to be honest, a lot of people have heard a lot of my story, and I thought I'd pick some different stuff, and I just look really, really happy there, and no one's ever really seen or heard the side of me living on a farm. So yeah, and it was just probably a really happy time in my life for mum as well. Mum had a boyfriend, and unfortunately he died in a truck accident. He fell asleep on the wheel. He was a truck driver and passed away. So that's what ended up making us move back to Umina on the Central Coast. But yeah, I just thought that's a different side to me that no one's heard before. And I thought, yeah, he looks like a little happy kid. And that's about it, really.
And yeah, what I can see when you're looking at that photo is how happy it makes you. Is it just because you know that was a positive time, or does that little Nico come to mind at all when you're, talking about what would my younger self think, or is that maybe something you've been trying to, I don't know, like you want to be in that kind of happy state now?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. Like when I look at him, that's the sort of photo or that's the sort of kid that pops in my head when I'm thinking of my younger self. Like this photo like comes up a lot. I've never really shown anyone, but that photo's come up a lot in my head when I'm just my happiest. And then like the last couple of months have been a bit of a tough time, so I use that bit of inspiration now that's how I should be smiling every day. Yeah.
That's really nice. I like that.
Thanks.
Should I go for one of mine now?
Yes, you should, Marlee Silva.
Okay, well, I similarly have the first one I want to show is of that like quite young age. I think I must be 4. And this is like cheating actually of our own concept here because it's actually a video. And I think I've shown you this before, but it is me on a home movie after I think me, Mum, Dad and Keely were on a trip to Canberra.
Canberra of all places.
Like nerd heaven. Like I remember going to the old Parliament House, the Questacon, all that sort of stuff. So it was a great time. And it's actually a really cool photo of me and Keely at the Aboriginal Tent Embassy at that time with like our fists in the air, like getting real into everything. But this is after Mum had been filming us all day.
Join in at the next episode of the Silva Family Thing tomorrow, 5 o'clock.
Like
Hey, you or Keely?
that's me.
Oh,
That
of
is
course
me.
it's you.
Performing, obviously never been shy in front of cameras. And I think that when I think of the kid that I was before adolescence, that's me to a T. This like really, admittedly, like I was pretty shy in like day-to-day life, didn't like trying to like make new friends and all that sort of stuff. Still a bit the same. But I always just had this part of me that wanted to perform, that wanted to present. And in that I'm, acting like we've been, we have our own like reality TV show or something. And cameras have been following us around all the time. And I think that for me, it really sums up the kind of kid that I was. And even though I wouldn't have been able to articulate it at the time, what I was in some ways like destined for, I always wonder, like, are you sort of born with exactly what you're supposed to be there? And people often talk about when you're a kid and you're being your most authentic self because you haven't had the expectations of society be put on you or affect how you act in certain situations. Looking back to that, and the journey that I've been on with my career, I think that I rejected wanting to be in, a creative space full time or be, trying to pursue a media career and this sort of stuff for a long time because I thought it was unrealistic and I thought that it was unattainable for me. So having this Marlee as someone I can look back on at, say, 4 or 5 years old who was so theatrical, such a drama queen and clearly wanted to be, have a microphone in front of her face, knowing that I fulfilled that dream is really nice for me.
Well, you just stole my question.
Oh, what was your question?
I was about to say, do you reckon that was you dreaming to be where you are now, or do you reckon you had that dream come a bit later?
No, I think that's what the dream was. I think that I pushed it aside. I think I was told, or not even told directly, like my mum and dad have always been super supportive of me pursuing whatever it was that I wanted to do. But school community or even just like how people talk in day to day, no one ever told me that what I was good at, which was public speaking, could help me in my job or be a career one day. So I just didn't think it was, and, spent a lot of time thinking that I'd have to come up with like sort of a more practical goal or something I could go to uni for and be qualified. And it's just nice to be able to like look at that idiot of a kid and who's just has to be the center of attention, but know that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that like watching that video there and you just look at it and go, that is so Marlee Silva. Like, I don't even know why I asked you that was your kid.
Yeah.
But like genetics and you're born with something. I just don't get it how you can just be born with something.
Well, people call it like destiny, right?
But it's just how, like, what happens for that to make you be destined to do what you are doing? Because looking at that, and then you just go, wow, your mum and dad would have been saying at that point, like, she's going to be on Channel 9 one day. You know? Like, my mum would say as a kid, oh, my mum, Nico's going to run out and play for Australia one day. I'd say, shut up, mum. Like, stop saying that.
Yeah.
And like, obviously I haven't done it yet, but like, here I am playing in the NRL. Like, who would have thought that? And like, it's just like, why people are born with just talents?
I think that maybe that's a testament to the fact that every single person's born with some sort of opportunity, and whatever it is that is your skill set. We so often focus on putting you in a box and going, this is what you're going to be, or this is what success looks like. It means having a job like a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, and a particular salary, and that's how you make a life for yourself. But if we let ourselves be more free in expressing and exploring whatever it is that we're good at, maybe more of us will be less likely to feel like we're failures or we're not good at anything in particular. I tend to believe that everyone is born with something. It's just whether they're given the opportunity to pursue it. And oftentimes people aren't given that opportunity because of their circumstance. Like maybe, you know, if you're in a situation where you have to worry a lot about those finances and stuff, you can't just go out on a limb and try and make something of a career that's risky.
Well, I guess that's why we're also doing this, because with the guests and showing you baby photos, it's like we're going to try and tell people to go explore their hidden talent or go explore what they're meant to be doing in life. Like, just because someone tells you have to go to uni and go to work hard at school, which you should, but
which I did.
You did, but like you don't have to go to uni. If you want to go chase a career and professional or whatever you want to do, or if you want to go do something, go do it. Like, you only live one life. It's only short.
100%.
If you're a professional athlete, really it's only 10% of your life.
Yeah.
Like, you only get to do it for 10 years max, really. So why not chase it until you can't really chase it anymore, sort of thing. Because then you've got another 50 years after that to work your ass off in something else, go be a bricklayer, whatever it is. But anyway, so chase your dreams, kids. My second photo, that was a good one. I like that video.
Thanks.
That's pretty cute, actually. You're not cute, but the video was cute.
Thanks.
Oh, fine. This is where I have to choose. I'm going to go this another little one of...
Oh, I love that.
So this is... So when I said Wee Man before, his real name's Jared. And we called him Wee Man. I've been best mates with Wee Man since I was about year 4 or 5. And then we went through school together, pretty much lived together when we were kids, and now we're living together now. If you've seen me out and about around Cronulla or the eastern suburbs, everyone you minor would know, and you've just seen this little man follow me around.
He's not that little. You make it sound like he's so little.
You know when you're like walking around, you got like a little puppy dog like...
Oh my goodness, he's going to hate you for describing him like that.
Well, one of our good friends, KDL, calls him, what is it, Batman and Robin. Yeah. He's the Robin of the... But, so this is the guy everyone sees all us with. He's been by my side since we were 10 years old, and we pretty much couldn't be separated as kids. And, he's just done everything with me, and he's been there for me through thick and thin. So, when I look at this photo, I just think like, from where we were to where we've come from now, like living in Sydney and Cronulla together, just living our best life. We got to go to America overseas together last year. We got to travel around Australia, doing what we love, having a good time. And just thinking like from where we were in year minor, like his parents never owned a house. They were moving house to house, renting all the time, similar to me. And we just like come from little humble beginnings where we did not care about the flashy stuff. We just went day to day, just barefoot walking around the town, getting up to mischief. To now where we are, and like he's very happy. He's a very successful man in his industry and in carpentry and flooring, and now he's getting to come to sit in the stadiums and watch me play in footy, and I know he loves to do that too. So I just thought like a bit of appreciation for someone, you know, and everyone's got that person who goes through the highs and the lows of life, and I'm not the only person who has that, but I just think it's important that everyone appreciates that person who you have. So if you're listening, go and send that person a text message and tell them how much you appreciate them, because I know that will mean a lot to them. But yeah, so looking back at that kid, he would be so happy and proud that I'm standing and living next to the same person I was when we were kids, and I'm still having a little fun and getting out the mischief a little bit, but I'm still doing life with that person I was doing life with when I was 10 years old. So, I think he'd be looking at me going, good stuff, Nico. You stayed humble and you didn't fuck off all your friends who were there from the start.
And I think that speaks to such a vital component of success, whatever it is that, success means to you. That whole saying of you become the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think that it's amazing to have someone like who's been a part of your journey the whole way and can be someone who can reflect with you on that stuff of what you guys were like at that age. So that photo is year 6 formal, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you said?
Year 6 formal, yep. Well, there was a time where he got a girl and moved away. So I moved up to Mackay and he moved to Port Macquarie, then to the Gold Coast with Mrs. So we left Central Coast at the exact same time.
Wow.
So we had a big going away event in the city, got like a penthouse in the city and had a big party weekend and saying goodbye to both of us really. So I went up to North Queensland, he went to Gold Coast and I went to Port Macquarie and to Gold Coast. And so for 2 years there, we were still close. We still visit each other. Well, I went to him. He didn't ever come to me, the bastard. But so we probably just weren't as close as we are now, and we were. But we're still like he's that one person that I have a couple of them, but he's the one person that like no matter how far apart you are, or if you haven't spoke for a little while, as soon as we're together, it's like you've never left.
Yeah.
And then went down to Melbourne and he stayed Gold Coast, went back to Port for a bit, and then he went back to the coast as I come to Cronulla. Well, he was in the coast for a little bit, and I was just like, man, you want to come to Cronulla with me?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, fucking oath. Let's start something new. And then that's how it all happened. So, so he's a part of our little family that we have family dinners with the Silvas. Wee Man's a big part of that. So, like I said, the younger self, I reckon not just me, him in that photo would be also proud that we're doing life together right now. And
how important do you think it is to have someone, and like I value this a lot, my best friend Sean, who lives in Brisbane, who my wish was my roommate or live with me or whatever, and I feel exactly the same. We've been friends since we were 12. I value her so much because she's such a cheerleader for me, and I wonder, what do you think, especially like no matter what your career is, if you're someone who becomes quite successful or has something that gets you public notoriety, you can often see who your true friends are in their response to that, because like jealousy becomes a part of it, or an inability to sort of celebrate you and your wins without feeling like it's reflection of their own kind of success or whatever.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is, especially in what you've seen in the last 18 months, to have someone like who just like wholeheartedly backs you and is so passionate about your success and celebrates it with you? Yeah,
it's massive, and people probably wouldn't even see that or would underestimate having someone like that in your life. He's never been someone who's jealous of my success or jealous that I'm on the TV screens, or if I'm in public, people want to talk to me. Like, he's just so chilled out, doesn't care. He'll take the photos for me. Obviously, he has little digs here and there, like, fuck me, Dad, I don't want to go out with you today. I don't feel like being a photographer today.
He bailed on Friday when we got stuck.
He did bail on Friday, but it's to someone to go home to. Sounds like he's my bloody husband.
Yeah, you never use it.
But yeah, someone just to go home to and chill, and like, he'll know if I don't need to talk about footy, he'll just talk about anything but. And then you'll know if he needs to leave me alone, or he needs to pick me up, or even humble me sometimes. Like he's really good, and I know he speaks to like my mindset coach Jared and you about like, fuck, should we do something more for Nico here? Do we need to leave him alone? Like whatever. Like he's just like I often tell people as well, like something a quote you said before, but like surround yourself with people who want you to be successful as bad as you do, and he's that person. Like he wants me to succeed as bad as I want to succeed. And if you have people like that around you, then like you're going to be successful in whatever chosen area you do. You just need to find those people, and I'm pretty lucky that not just wee men, I've got heaps of those.
Yeah.
All my best mates are like that, and they've never doubted me from the beginning. Like when I was playing reserve grade and looking like I would never play in a role, like they were still going, come on, Nico, like you can get there. Fucking stay off the piss or do this, do that. Like don't do that. Like they've always been like that from day one. So yeah, it's huge. Like everyone says there's behind every successful man there's a woman.
There's a wee for you.
Yeah, but sometimes it could just be a best mate.
Yeah,
at the moment,
100%.
that's me. At the moment, I've got wee man who's like, I have to live with him every day. He sees me every day. He goes through the ups and downs. So like, one day it will be a girl for me, but at the moment it's my best mate wee man.
And can I just say, like, wee is the most level-headed, calm voice in every room for all of us. I think that he, like, obviously I've known him now as long as I've known you, and I just feel like he's the one who both you and I can get a bit dramatic and overthink things.
You can.
Okay. And we knows how to just rein it in. So yeah, we really value
Helps
him
he's
a
got
lot.
a new beautiful girlfriend too.
Yeah, and we love Zara.
Yeah, we love Zara.
So
She's the best.
we
Right, enough for me. Let's go. You're
Okay. The next photo I have is of Marlee Silva, aged 15. So I think this is me 15 or 14. You're going to love the fit, can I say? I will describe it after
Give me
you.
that right
Or
now.
why don't you have a crack at describing?
Oh. Are you going to a concert or something?
I think I must have been.
So Marlee is wearing, looks like Connie's
Yeah.
Converse shoes up to her shins.
Up to my shin.
And then she's got these purple sunglasses.
Massive purple something.
Massive, looks like fly's eyes. Pretty much covering her whole face. And then she's got looks like a tie-dye.
Kind of
Dress,
t-shirt dress. I
dress.
loved that dress.
Did ya?
Yeah, loved it.
I'm glad I only have to look at this once. And then she's got all these big bangles on, and yeah, it looks like you're going to a Pink concert or something.
I don't think that's what I was going to.
She's sitting on the side of the road. Yeah, that's all right. I like that. Sitting on the side of the road, looking like you're a bit of a homeless person. I don't mind it. Keep it humble, eh?
So yeah, I've also got like a tie headband thing on. I used to love wearing things like that, and a big like necklace. And
what did you say? You never had a boyfriend?
you can like keep bringing that up as much as you want. I don't care. And anyway, so yeah, the way that I look, it's like pretty awkward, like a typical awkward teenage smile
How old
going
were you
on.
then?
I think 14.
14.
And I think that I wanted to bring this Marlee to the table because by that point, she's very different to the first Marlee in the video. I became way more worried about, how I presented myself in front of, like, clearly not in a fashion sense. I mean, it's just like being quieter, felt so unsure of myself, like a lot of kids do at that age, but I was really struggling at school at this point. And it was I would have been like year 9, probably the beginning of a really lonely period in my life where, I was just pretty ostracized in my school environment. This is something that I speak about quite a bit and like wrote about in my book and the like, but being the only Aboriginal kid in my year and the only other Aboriginal kid in my school being my sister, and being someone who's always been so loud and proud about culture, and kind of fighting to change people's perspectives on our people and wanting to be the best example of blackfellas that I could be in such a wide environment growing up in the Sutherland Shire, I managed to put myself on the outer in being that. And like a lot of kids at this age, when you're figuring out your identity and where you fit in the world, it's a really lonely road. But this was sort of the beginning point of a really, really dark time for me over probably, the following 3 years. Like, so the whole back end of high school, just really thinking that I was doing it completely on my own. And while I still had sort of dreams of what my life would be and who I could be once I escaped that school environment, I don't think I believed that I could do it. And I didn't feel valued or wanted in any way in any social circle, which is like a bit of a downer, but I think a realistic picture of where I was at. And I just think like this Marlee who, you know, is from over a decade ago now, like would absolutely not believe me and where I am now, the confidence that I have and what I've achieved. This is probably also the first age point where I had told my mum that my main goal in life was to write a book one day. So to think that I've done that now and done so many other things that are crazy. Like I do live TV occasionally and have, you know, work on radio and have traveled all over the world and have done it by myself and like made, you know, even just like little things like going up and introducing myself to a random person was really, really scary for me for a long time. So I look back at that Marlee, and I want to give her a hug because I wasn't very nice to her as well. I really, for all the stuff that I was going through and like the way that people treated me, like in terms of putting me on the outer with the social circle, I blamed myself wholeheartedly. And like, yeah, I absolutely, because I was struggling with a lot of things, wasn't a great person to have around. So I understand to some extent, but I really put the blame on me and thought that there was something wrong with me. So I think that I often think of that Marlee because, you know, a couple of years after that photo, I was like ready to throw the hat in, to put it bluntly. And if I could talk to that Marlee, I would want her to just be a lot kinder to herself. And I think I've talked to you about that before. I don't have any regrets. But if there was one thing that I could do, it would be go back to that Marlee and tell her like, as much as that it was a horrendous outfit, and then I would go on that year to also cut some even more horrendous bangs, that you're all right and like there's nothing that's wrong with you. You're actually pretty cool person. Cool maybe is not the right word, but
definitely right. But because you're so good at talking and rambling on, you've just answered all my questions I was going to ask you.
Sorry.
Look, this is a serious moment. I don't want to make the piss out of it, but I was going to ask you about if you regret anything or what are you most proud of and like all those things. You just answered all my questions. But what I would say in that circumstance, first of all, a little kid like that should never ever have to feel on the outer, whether you do it yourself or the kids around you. Like that's the whole reason why we're doing this. Again, like you got to be proud of your culture. You got to be proud of who you are, and yeah, the kids should never have ever made you feel like that. Two, like your family would be so proud of you from seeing, you know, the insecure little girl that was scared to be herself and be proud of who she is and her identity. Like that would be so proud. And I'm proud of you. Like I've heard this story before, and like I can't even imagine you being like a girl that's just doesn't do much and doesn't speak her values and what she believes in. Like sometimes I just go, fuck me, Marlee, shut up. Like, that's how much you talk. And but I just can't even imagine what you were then. So to see like you being proud and being who you are and showing all your skills to the world, like you're on TV, you sit on the sideline talking footy, which you know nothing about. Like you're doing all these cool things, and now look at us here. So yeah, like everyone around you would be proud, Marlee, and I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself and keep kicking goals, sister.
Thanks. Do you think that we would have been friends at that age?
I don't know. Like,
I reckon you would have tried.
I would have tried because people like at school probably looked at me like because I was pretty loud and you know in the popular group, like all the footy players are popular at school, and you know have all the friends and that. Like, I reckon people would look at me like, oh, fucking, who's Nico? Like, shut up, Nico. Like, because I was like, played handball, I was loud, I was just like, but I would never mean to anyone. I never was like, never disregarded someone because, you know, they like to go study at school, you know. Like, if I seen you feel like on your own, that I would have 100% tried to include you and try to be your friend. Like, whether you wanted to be my friend or not, who knows? But we're friends now, so that's all that matters.
Okay. Now, before you go to your next one, I have a bit of a surprise for you.
Oh.
because, you know, as I said, I've been podcasting for a while, so I'm quite used to being the host and quite used to researching my topics and my guests.
What have you got?
And as we're essentially each other's interview guests today.
Yeah.
I you know, did some looking. First of all, weird thing, we're not friends on Facebook. Weird.
Actually, I searched you on Facebook yesterday.
Yeah.
Last night.
Yeah, well, you can't find me because I have good security settings.
Well, yeah, I know that now.
Yeah.
Just shush, just keep going.
So let me just say this to you. After this, before this episode is released, we are changing your Facebook security settings because it's way too easy to see everything.
Really?
And I scrolled back, right? And I've got some beautiful Facebook statuses that I just wanted to raise with you.
No, you can't do this to me.
I can. I would just say, like, the theme. No.
Fucking hell, you. I didn't even think you had this in you, eh?
So what you didn't, or you might have just heard, was him trying to grab the phone off me. It's nothing bad. But, I mean, the first one I've got is from 2011, which I think is,
me.
no, this is like interesting. Might not be the brand that people expect from Nicho Hynes. Can't wait for Home and Away to come back. Weeknights are so boring without it. Fair? I loved Home and Away.
So same.
Yeah, yeah. So do you still watch Home and Away?
Nah.
Okay.
I used to want to be on Home and Away.
Yeah, shock me. Because you think you're Heath Ledger. But there's a theme. There's a theme. And I just want to understand it a little bit more because there's a few of the, I did not think you were this person. Few very.
Well, don't bring it up then.
Well, hey, you've changed, right?
Whatever.
Very cryptic, like weird quotes about a girl, right? Different. I'm imagining different girls over time. Here's one. This is also from 2011. I feel cringy even reading this out. If a kiss was a raindrop, I'd send you a shower. If a hug was a second, I'd send you an hour. If a smile was water, I'd send you the sea. If you needed love, I'd send you me. What's that about?
Oh, fuck if I know, but why do you have to read that like you're presenting in TV?
Don't get caught, right? Like there was like quite a few.
I'm actually getting hot because I feel like, fuck, this is the first time I've been embarrassed in my life.
Really?
I'm not embarrassed, but I'm like, fuck me, you idiot. But
so there's a lot of those.
There was times when like me and my mates were like, get quotes off and would try to post the coolest quote, and like I was obviously fucking love drunk or something.
Yeah, there was like a few, and there was like this is the good one. This is from 2013. This is the last one. This is the last one. When you're thinking that I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking you're thinking of me. So I just want to know.
2013.
Yeah, that's late. That's you what?
Probably when I was bloody heartbroken, mate.
17? I would have been 18 in 2013. So you were 17. But
anyway, next segment.
No, I think it's an important reflection point. You used it a lot. There was a lot of statuses. I've just picked a few beautiful ones. But
if you had not, like, you know me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say things from the heart.
Yeah. So that was an outlet that you used a lot. Did you often get like the responses that you wanted from statuses like that? Or was that just like you using it as your personal diary?
Do you know when you set statuses, it says what's on your mind?
That was on your mind.
That was on my mind.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe I successfully made you embarrassed.
No, I'm not embarrassed. See these cameras? They don't see me embarrassed right now.
Oh, I reckon if we look back, you were squirming. I reckon you thought it was going to be worse than that.
Okay. You 1-0, Marley, okay.
Yeah. I just want, that's.
That's how you want to play.
You've always
we're not
been
fighting fair.
You've always been this, like, as you said, sensitive guy.
Yeah.
Lead with the heart.
Heart led always.
Open book, lay it out there.
I went back on my Facebook, it would have been a few years ago now, and I seen some of those things and I was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
A lot of statuses about good life.
Really?
Yeah, remember the under-18s festival, Good Life, everyone, if you were from
Why
Sydney.
are you stalking me, man?
I told you, I'm a really good researcher. And I was like, oh, we're not friends on Facebook. I was going to add you, and I was like, no, then you're going to know what I'm doing.
No, I wouldn't have known.
Really?
At all.
You didn't think I would do that?
Not one bit. I didn't think.
I can't believe how open your Facebook security settings are.
Didn't think you were good at your job, so they just didn't expect you'd go do that.
See, like it's also about seeing,
Yeah, look, fair game.
going.
Fair game. And that's 1-0.
Yeah.
And I'm coming for you hard.
Yeah, great.
So be careful next time you club pash because I'm filming it and putting it
Oh
everywhere.
my God. Well, two can play that game.
Yeah, sweet. Anyway, should we go one more photo each? I'm sick of you sitting here talking to you already, so we need to speed this up. You got me. Okay, so my third photo, and this sort of ties into two photos, but this wasn't when I was real young because I couldn't find any photos on my phone of me and Dad when we were really young, but there's one of us two in my under 20s grand final. We got flogged by Penrith, but anyway. So let's just pretend that was me and him when I was 7 years old playing for the Umina Bunnies, which is a photo of me in my Umina Bunnies outfit there. So let's just pretend my dad's standing next to me because he's my coach of that team. He coached me from when I was under 6s all the way through to under 13s at Umina Bunnies. So I think sometimes like with my story, it's always really been about my mum and a little bit of my brother, purely because it's on the Hynes side. It's just me, my mum and my brother. And mum's obviously been like how do I word it? Like she's not the trouble, but it's just the hurdles I've had to jump in life is being with mum.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not taking that away from mum. Like, and that's my story and I love my story and I love my mum, but Dad probably hasn't got maybe as much recognition as he deserves. I always try and, wrap him up every time I can, but always the headlines or the media is all about the tough life I've had, and that's all the mum side, which is fine. But Dad's been my coach, and he's probably been the reason why he was the reason why I had an NRL dream to start with. He's the footy head of the family. He's a footy geek, loves footy, played a bit growing up, reckons he could have made it, but chose to drink instead, which I can see because he's a little beer belly fat guy. But so my memories of like footy is like Dad would coach the older kids and first grade of the local Umina team. So I would rock up in, I think I wore Dragons gear. That his dad was a big Dragons fan, so he dressed me up in Dragons kit. So I'd go rock in all full Dragons kit. My brother was a Knight, so I'd dress up in Knights. Then I went for the Cowboys, so I'd wear Cowboys kit. Like just anything footy, I'd always be going to hang out with the big kids and the first graders, and I'd be the ball boys, and then he would come and coach our team. So he'd be doing that, and then Friday nights footy, would be sitting there next to him watching Friday night footy, waking up for a Saturday morning early start with footy, and yeah, just everything was, every time I spoke footy, it was to him. And so like, I just think it's important for me to recognise him a lot too. And I would never have had the footy dream if it wasn't for him. And he's proud as punch. Like he never missed a game then. Like even with school footy, like he would take days off work or he would pretend like he was working. And he'd like say if we had school footy on the top end of the coast, he would look at the jobs that were for the next day, and he would make sure that his jobs are up the northern end of the coast, so he could come and watch. When I show the photo and why I talk about it, looking back on it, like both of us are proud as punch of each other, and like I look at it and go, far out. Like Dad then, like he probably doesn't tell me much, but he'd probably tell other people. But he'd be looking at, if he looked at that photo and looked at me now, he'd be like, far out, like that's my son, I'm really, really happy and proud of where he is, and I couldn't have done it without him. And there's always a reason why you get into things in life, and it's always because of your parents. Like your parents are the ones who put things in place for you to be who you are, and then he's done it. He's done a really good job. So yeah, that's why I picked a photo of him. And the other one was the school footy one, which he was a part of. He coached a fair bit. We had a school teacher, Mr. Crouch, and he took us away, but he'd always ask for Dad's help because he was our coach, and we were such a good school footy team. And I look back so fondly of playing school footy because like you sit there, you play with your best mates, and not often like in life you get to sit there and play with 13 of your best mates. Like I can say I do now with playing my footy team, but it's not the same. Like you don't grow up with those kids, and we used to run a mark, and I used to look to my left and right, and then I look at them at lunchtime, and I look at them on the weekends, and now I'm playing footy with them, and it was just so much fun. And Dad was a massive reason why we all stuck together, because he was a coach, he was our glue, and everyone loved Dad. And all my best mates now back home are still will go and have a beer with Dad, and have a yarn about the old days. So yeah, that's why I chose the photo of Widow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Can I also say, well, you obviously don't get to see this, but I see your dad at all of your games, and there's been a couple of times where I've been with him where I think it was once at a Shark Park home game where I was introducing my dad to your dad, and then Dad was with a few mates, and Dad goes, "Don't you know whose dad this is?" That kind of thing. My dad did. And the way that your dad just beamed, like with the way that they're like, "Oh my goodness, you must be so proud. Like, he's so amazing," all this sort of stuff. You can see exactly what you're talking about in terms of that pride there. And it is interesting because I think similarly, it for like different reasons, but I always talk about my dad when I talk about my story, in the same way that you always, like, there's always a lot of tension about your mum.
Yeah.
I think because of what my dad did in his career, and also because I'm so often talking about culture and identity, and he's my Aboriginal parent.
Yeah.
And my mum doesn't get enough of a rap.
Yeah.
And maybe, she's very much the unsung hero in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And
Behind every good man there's a good wife, a lady.
I'm a woman.
No, behind Rod.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, my God. Yeah, my dad would be nothing without my mother. That's, yeah, he's a bit silly. So, that's so interesting how that happens, hey? But, yeah, shout out to Deb too. I really liked looking back with those. That's nice. It's always a good measure of how far, I guess, we've come. And so you're now reigning Dally M medalist, looking to try and get a premiership with the Sharks this year. Do you ever think forward, or do you like to just kind of be, not go too far ahead when you're thinking about your goals, or even like who you want to be moving down the track?
It's a question. Like right now, no, I don't look forward a whole heap. I'm only just starting to reflect and look back on successful things. Like part of my mindset work I do, my mindset coach Jared, is reflection. And I've never really had a whole heap to reflect on that's been positive. Over the last few years has been like, wow, it's just gone from 0 to 100, and it's so important to reflect and look back and just go, wow, like I've done that, and just be so proud of yourself. And it's one thing to be proud of yourself, but there's one thing to look deep inside you and feel it, like really feel the emotions and how good it actually feels. Like it's easy to just go, oh fuck, Nico, you done that, but then and sort of throw it off because you just want to be humble as you can and not to get too big-headed. But when it's time to sit down and look back and reflect, like really feel into it, because it's such a good feeling, and you want to feel that again, and you want to feel that again and again, and having that feeling and feeling so far into it, then like the next time you do it, it's just going to feel even better, and it's going to keep getting better and better. And so I've just started learning to do that now. Like when I won the Dally M, like I had it out for a little bit and sort of like chucked it in my safe and just let it be in there. But like sometimes it's important to go and grab it and feel it, like, be proud of it. So I'm trying to do that a bit more. And looking forward, like I reckon, like you always have dreams, you dream big, and every now and then you get caught in the days going like just thinking about walking off the stage with a premiership ring, but like so many processes in between before you get there. But I think it's important to dream big, and for every young kid to look forward and like set goals and put things on their wall of things they want to achieve in life. But you just can't forget the importance of living day to day and working hard and going through the process to get there. Like you have to really be in the moment and be present in everyday life to get to where you want to achieve. But yeah, I think it's important to look forward, like have goals looking forward, just don't look too far forward. So you get stuck in that moment looking forward where you miss the opportunity that's right in front of you.
For sure. I think part of the reason I asked that sort of question, and you know how you were saying earlier in this episode that you often talk about what would your 5-year-old self think. One of my many jobs I've had in the last 10 years, I used to work for a nonprofit that saw me standing in front of a lot of young kids and trying to get them to feel inspired about reaching their biggest potential and achieving some of those big dreams and goals that they had. And what I always used to use in one session in particular was a clip from Matthew McConaughey's Oscars
My man.
acceptance speech that is so famous because of how profound it was, where he tells the story of, who his hero is being himself in 10 years' time, and that he always wants someone to chase, and that even, 10 years down the track, he's actually not become that hero because it's about not ever plateauing and always looking to be better and to grow. So when I think about myself and what I guess looking forward, what I want to achieve, of course there's big goals, big specific sort of projects and things that I want to do and achieve. But in general, I think having looked back at that 14, 15-year-old Marlee who was not in a good way and struggled for a couple of years after, knowing where I am now, and there's still a lot of ups and downs I haven't talked about in this conversation that I imagine will come out in this podcast as we continue the journey, where I am right now, how content I am, how happy I am, and how I just feel that sort of confidence and freedom to pursue whatever it is that comes to mind, however wild a dream is. That's what I want to maintain. I want to constantly be looking to be better, challenging myself. And I think first and foremost, and I reckon this is a lesson that came out of COVID, really prioritizing fun and doing things that,
Makes you happy.
Make you happy and make you laugh. I think that that's something that we don't put at the top, but we need to.
Yep.
We go, success is tick, 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 make money, build this for yourself. But I think fun, happiness, joy, real just joy, funny, be your best mate, talking about your club passions on a podcast like that, it has to be a part of it. Yep. And I think that's what I want to keep going as we look forward.
Yeah, it's a really good point you make there. Success, people just think you have to go work hard, you have to recover, you have to do all these proper things. Well, I'm speaking athletes term, which is different for your term, but you got to remember what got you there as well, all the smiles and the good times. And a lot of people do make it from just being anal, just this and this. You have to tick every box. But I know I speak to Jared with my mindset coach about you have to find time for happiness, and you have to find time that fills your cup, because it's so important to rock up every day to work being happy. And if I was just so just in the zone of recover, eat, sleep, train, and then no time for fun, eventually it's going to drain you and you're going to be worn out. And you need that time to have fun and be happy and live the life you want to live, but also keep working hard. You have to work hard. And also a point you made of just that 10 year, you want to keep getting better and better. You cannot go wrong in life if you continually want to be a better version of yourself and keep getting better in a different skill. So I reckon that's a massive point. If anyone's listening and you haven't picked up anything today, what you said there, of just wanting to keep getting better and being a better version of yourself each year, each day, then you got a purpose every day you wake up.
100%.
If you don't have a purpose of anything else other than wanting to be the best version of yourself and be better than the day before, then that's the only purpose you really need.
Yeah, for sure.
So well done, Marlee.
Thanks. And I reckon that's a pretty good note to end it on, of that pursuit of, wanting to be better. And that can be a kinder person, be a healthier person, be a happier person, whatever it is. So that was really fun. I'm really glad that we've had this conversation to kick things off. And thank you for,
it was pretty serious, but we'll have fun at times. We'll have some funny times and laughter. We had a bit of laughter.
Yeah, a little bit.
But we sort of just wanted to get the rabbit out of the hat.
Yep.
Talk about when we grow up, why we want to do this podcast.
And we hope you come along for the journey. We can't wait to have a few really exciting guests come in and also make this something that can be shaped by the people who listen to it as well. We said, we want to build a community, want to have a lot of fun with it. If you are enjoying this, if you like what you hear, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, that follow button, wherever you listen. You can also follow us on Instagram. The Instagram handle is @WhenWeGrowUpPod. We'll have lots of this video content on there, and that'll be the first place you'll figure out who our guests are. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
All right. Catch you next time.
Bye.